1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. You already know what it is, man. Today we got an extremely great interview jumping off, man. We got Jason Samuel in the house. He was a dude who I done some time with. We became acquainted. You know, we at the time we met, we had both done a lot of time into our sentences, and we was working on trying to get out, man. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Jason, let him talk to you a little bit and give his life story to you guys. So Jason, how you doing, man? And let everybody know where you from.
I'm from Bakersfield, California.
Okay, most definitely. And so how long did you end up serving in the California Department of Corrections?
I ended up serving 22 years.
22 years? Right, okay. And so we'll definitely get into that, man. So you say you grew up in Bakersfield. Was you born and raised out there?
Yes. Born and raised out there.
So what was life like for you growing up out there?
It was poor. We was poor growing up. I was poor growing up as a kid. It was a struggle. You know, we had good times and bad times. My mother ended up being on drugs at a very young age. For me, around 5 years old, she started smoking drugs. And so that took a toll on the family. I was the oldest, so that took a toll on me. And so I ended up trying to be the man of the house and cutting lines for $5 in the front, $5 for the back. And I had cleaned up at the churches, and they used to pay me to do that. And also even other gang members that was in the neighborhood used to give me money to help me feed my brothers and sisters at the time. And, you know, 1990, my home was raided. We stayed on the west side of Bakersfield at the time. And they kicked in the door, and they separated. They took us to the Jameson Center home. That's the place in Bakersfield where they put the kids at that's been going to be put in foster homes and stuff.
Let me ask you a quick question to clarify. So you said around the age when you was 5, your mom started. She had developed a drug problem.
Yes.
Okay.
That's when
I just want
around that age. That's what I really seen the drug problem. Understood it more.
Right.
She was using longer than that, but I understand now. But I understood it more then when I was got around that age.
And so, what year were you born to give the people a general idea of when you was growing up?
I'm born in 1990. I'm born in 1997. 79. Born in 1979. My bad.
So you was born in 79. Okay. And so, did you have brothers and sisters? Were you youngest, oldest? How did you fall in the line of the family?
I'm the oldest. I had a sister, Jackie. She passed away 2 years after I was paroled from COVID.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you, man. And I got a brother, Joe, and I got a brother, Dupree, and I got another sister named Naomi. I got a brother named Dennis, and I got another brother named Marcus. So it's like 5 of us now, and I'm the oldest, or 6 of us, and I'm the oldest now.
Right. And so what area of Bakersfield were you from?
I'm from the south side of Bakersfield, The gang out there is called the Country Boy Crips, and that's the gang I used to represent when I was younger. Started off gang banging at a very young age, 14 years old, and it just progressed over the years
Right.
until I ended up committing my crime,
Uh-huh.
shooting a police officer.
You said you was born in 79, so maybe around 85 or 86, you happen to be 6 or 7 years old. So had gangs already hit out there? I mean, what was it like? Because you said you would cut grass and gang members would give you money. So how early did you start noticing the gang members in your community?
The first day we moved in the community,
Uh-huh.
it was already there. It was the gangs been around before, well, as long as I can remember. So, like, my whole life has been gangs. My first fight I ever seen was a blood in the Crip fight. One had a blue rag in his pocket, the other one had a red rag in his pocket, and they was fighting right there in front of the world. Nobody was watching. It's them two fighting, and I was the only one watching them.
Right.
So it was that's how it was. And as I grew up, I had the opportunity what I was going to choose to be. If I was going to be a part of a gang, I was going to be a blood or a Crip. And the neighborhood I ended up growing up with was the Crip neighborhood, which is in the country. And I was raised by my auntie, and I ended up acting out a lot to get her attention, and because she was my new mother figure, So I wanted to lean on her to, as that support and that trust, and she was doing that for a minute, and then she was 24 when she took his hands, and she had 6 kids now. 4 of them were my mother's kids, which was all my sisters and brothers, and she had her 2 kids of her own. And so now she's 24 with 6 kids, and she want a man around to help her raise these kids,
Right.
And I didn't understand that at the time. I just wanted her attention. And so once she started trying to date, and I wasn't getting her attention, I used to do things at school to get in trouble to get her attention. And then her boyfriend that she used to mess with, he ended up abusing me, and I tell her about it, and she didn't believe me. And I told her in front of him that I was going to stab him in his neck while he was asleep if he put his hands on me again.
Uh-huh.
And that day, she stopped messing with him. So, so she took me serious. She knew that he was really abusing me.
When you say abuse, are you talking about physical abuse?
Physical, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Put
Right.
his hands on me, socking me like I was a grown man,
And let me take you back a little bit to earlier in the interview. So you said at some point in time the police raided you guys' house. So had your house became like a dope spot or something, or what was the purpose of the raid?
Well, you got to ask the police that, right? Personally, but all I know is what I was told was that they were selling dope over here in this neighborhood, which is a well-known drug neighborhood, right?
Uh-huh.
But they wasn't selling drugs at my house. My mother was a crack fiend, so she wasn't a dope seller. She was a crack addict. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
they rented the wrong house, basically, or I don't know how it went. But I know they found a pipe in my mother's purse, and they separated us.
Uh-huh. And so I had seen an interview before you had spoken mentioned where you said at some point in time you was young and you happened to see some crack laying around and you didn't know what it was. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, when I was younger, before my mother got real bad on the drugs, she used to have guy friends over. And one of the guy friends was a drug dealer, apparently, because he left some drugs in the refrigerator, what I thought was candy. And so when I went in the refrigerator, I see this bag, this big white rock, thinking it was candy, it was rock, and it was crystal, and it was in the freezer, so I'm thinking it's something to eat. And so I put the rock in my mouth, and it was numb. It numbed my whole face. And my mama seen me when I was spitting it out my mouth, and she tripped on the dude, and he told her, you know what I mean, and all that stuff had happened, but I didn't really know what was going on.
Right.
So
and just real quick for those who may have never seen crack cocaine or unfamiliar with it, I know back in the days when they started selling drugs in my area, they used to call it the cookie house. Reason being, crack cocaine sometimes the way it comes out, it will resemble a cookie. And so that was probably what he had saw, in a plastic bag, and it's white, and definitely a child could mistake it for a cookie or a pie or something like that. That's how he mistook the drugs for candy and digested some of the drugs before, like he said, it numbed his mouth and he realized that it wasn't candy. And so, what was it like once your aunt had took you guys and you had not only your brothers and sisters, you had a couple of more of your cousins, you guys living together. What was it like for you?
It was pretty decent because I was around family, and so this was something new. I always had a big family. I always had a lot of brothers and sisters, so I was used to it. And we didn't go without a meal. We didn't go without food. We didn't go without clothes. My auntie, she did the best she could for us for what she had, right?
Right,
But for me, at the time, that wasn't enough. Like, not having food on the table wasn't enough for me at the time, at my age, right?
uh,
And so I still needed attention, right? Because I'm hurting inside, and nobody really knows how much I'm hurting but me. And so I'm looking for somebody to love on. You know what I mean? That's supposed to be my mother figure. You know,
right,
and it wasn't happening. So I'm trying to reach out and get attention, and I end up started getting in trouble in school, beating up people in school, getting kicked out of school, stuff like that, just to get her attention. And when that wasn't working, and I told her I got put on the gang, she didn't believe me, you know, and till she seen I was really from a gang, you know, and then it changed, you know, for our relationship had already changed by then, you know,
and
and
so
so.
can you elaborate on what now looking back on it, because knowing that you have, you've done the work, you went to these self-help classes in prison that have us analyze a lot of things from our past and help us to figure out things now that we couldn't figure out then. So what specifically, or what were some of the things that you were hurting from, just being separated from your mother?
Yeah, I felt abandoned from my mother because I felt like this should have been a time where she wanted to get her stuff together when she got her kids taken from her. You know, that
Uh,
should be a turning point in her life to want to get her stuff together. And it wasn't. So that took a toll on me and my emotions that my own mother couldn't love me enough to want to change her life for the better. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
And so that turned to me basically hateful. You
right,
know, so I was lashing out, and I was I was hurting. So I was hurting other people. You
right.
know, and that continued my whole time basically. You know,
But
because of looking for love from a woman.
right, right. And so around that time, 85, 86, I know, crack cocaine hit a lot of urban communities all over America. And so were you seeing a lot of gang members in your neighborhood selling crack with, with the fancy cars and the rims and stuff that came with it? And if so, did that influence you any?
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely seen that coming up, and it influenced me a lot. You know, especially seeing young guys my age with money. You know what I mean? Because I never
Right,
had any money before, and we coming to school. Well, I'm going to school with guys in high school that's pulling up in Lexus and stuff like that. They come to school in brand new Mercedes, you know, cars and shit that only rich people drive. You know,
right.
and so and they want to be friends with me because of who I am. You know,
Mm,
and so that motivated me to want to chase my money. You know, like
right.
man, you know,
Yes.
and so I wanted to be, that was expiring. So I chased, I ended up selling drugs myself. I ended up doing all the stuff that they was doing basically with the street life, you know, and
And go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. And so after that, it would just became more easy to be a part of a criminal life when you know other criminals.
Right. And then so you had stressed to me earlier that at some point your aunt, she got tired of your behavior pretty much, and you running with the gangs, and so she eventually put you out.
Yes, that's what she did. She used to always threaten me. She threatened me for years to kick me out the house. So I never really took her serious because to me I thought she was gonna kick me out because she get paid for me. You know what I mean? So why did you get rid of your check? Right? But I guess I became too much where that check didn't matter no more. You know what I mean? So it was time for her to choose her kid, the rest of my family over me. You know, because she said I was being a bad influence on the family. You know, I was drinking, I was smoking PCP at a young age. I was doing it all, and she knew it. You know, so and she didn't like it, so she wanted to basically get rid of me. You know,
Right.
and so that's what she tried to do by sending me to a boys' home in another city. You know, and I didn't do that, and I didn't want to go, so I ran away and I went to the hood. You know, and where I feel loved at, you know, where I felt accepted at. You know,
Right.
and so I
And,
went to
and
the country.
and
Huh?
so why do you think that you felt love and acceptance in the hood amongst your homies as opposed to being loved and accepted at home? So what in that gang dynamics made you feel loved?
I felt like I was a part of a family. You know, a extended family that they understood me and my struggles when I've been through. Because a lot of the people I grew up with, and that's a part of gangs or was a part of gangs, we all had come from broken homes. You know, they only had one parent, or if they did have two parents, one of their parents was on drugs, if not both of them. You know, so we related to each other on that level. So that's why we had that bond with each other, because
Right.
we understood each other's struggle.
And so there was a time I was doing time at a prison that was extremely close to Bakersfield, and before then I didn't realize the gang problem in Bakersfield was extremely deadly and volatile. When do you say that gangs got real bad out there and the shooting going back and forth? And as far as you can remember, when did that start?
Well, it already had started once I was a kid, like in the '70s, before I really knew anything about gangs, right?
Right.
But I think the more I understood about it before, when I first got a part of it, it wasn't really about shooting and like it is now. Like people used to be in other people's hoods, and you
Uh-huh.
going to fight. You know, you getting them up. You know, you going to school. You know what I mean? Be fighting. You know, but now you ain't doing that. You going up to school, you shooting that person. You know, so the
Uh-huh.
dynamics had changed from fighting to shooting. You know,
Right.
and that was the biggest difference.
Uh-huh. And so in your era, it was still more of the fighting.
Yeah, for a minute. Yeah, then that was starting to change before I went to prison.
Right.
But
And
yeah,
and so no, go ahead. Sorry about that.
it was mostly fighting at the thing. But people got killed, but it wasn't like all the time, like every day or every other
Right.
day. It was every blue moon somebody got killed. You know,
Right.
but now it's like almost every day somebody get killed, or every month 3 people get killed. Or, 14
Right.
people shot or something. You know, and it's a different generation because the younger generation didn't have the discipline or the that we had to go through to be a part of something like that. Because if you was using drugs, they was jumping on you for that. You know what I mean? You
Right.
get DP to use drugs. Now it's a thing. It's a part of the culture now. You know what I mean? They made it using drugs a part of the culture, and then it wasn't. So now everybody on crystal, speed, coke, whatever it is, if they choose to be, there's no repercussions behind that. And so that's why it's so much crazy stuff going on in the younger generation, because there's nobody giving no real
And,
guidance.
and I think that's a profound statement that you just made, right? Because even where I grew up from is a small town, and where you're from is maybe about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours away. But it was the same feeling around that generation. I mean, around that time, I believe in all generations. We look down upon people who use drugs, especially crack cocaine back in my generation. So now you were living with your aunt, I guess, who in many ways became your surrogate mother. And now suddenly it comes to a point to where now she's telling you that she doesn't want you either. So like you said, how do you think that just affected you?
It affect me in a negative way, really, because like I was hurting some more. You like it's the old saying that they got: hurt people hurt people. And at the time, I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was hurting other people because I was hurting. So I went to the gang. I went to the hood and I just did bad stuff out there. You know, I sold drugs. I beat up smokers. I did stuff, and that wasn't cool. You feel me? Like to
Right.
society at least. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
didn't care about living. You know what I mean? I didn't care about dying. I didn't care about nothing. You know, so that gave me status in my gang because I was doing the stuff I was doing. You know, being
Right.
wild.
Right. And so at the age of 16, how are you surviving now? How are you taking care of yourself? Are you staying with friends? Are you actually homeless at some point? How was that working out for you?
Yeah, I was homeless, so I was staying with friends. I was staying with smokers. I was staying in. I was having smokers by give me rooms with the drug money that I had got. Um, I had bought a car. I was sleeping out of that. You know, I did whatever I needed to do to survive,
Right.
and that's what I
And
did.
and for those not maybe familiar or with the California terminology or not from that era, when he says smokers, he's referring to basically drug addicts and dope fiends back then in those days and stuff. And so I'm guessing at the age of 16 now you're homeless, you're out there gang banging, you selling dope. So I guess you pretty much had stopped going to school, right?
Yeah, I had. Yep, I stopped going to school. Um, yeah, I stopped doing all that. I just took trying to sell drugs more serious because I needed to feed myself out here now. So
Right.
now I got to watch out for the police, gang members, and dope fiends. You know, trying to get me. So it became very stressful. You know, real fast and always losing my drugs, and always trying to re up on it. It wasn't an easy thing to this to come up for me. You know what I mean? I didn't know
Right.
how to sell drugs. This was something new to me. You
Right.
know, I was a gang member before I was a dope dealer. You know, so I didn't know how to do this stuff, and so I'm trying to figure it out on my own. And you know, and it was hard. I was always taking losses because I was out here homeless, running from the police. You know what I mean? Stuff like when they come and you trying to throw your dope, you ready to get caught. You ready to try to regroup and then get caught with the dope. You know,
Right.
so I'm doing the attack. I'm losing it and I'm waking up. I got my dope cheat. Waked up, went to use the bathroom, forgot I was cheat. You know, flushed it down the toilet. You know,
Right.
so
And then
that life is for me.
on top of that, on top of that, for people, because I wasn't homeless when I was 16, but I was out there selling drugs and stuff like that. So I'm extremely familiar with what you're talking about, right? And I think another thing people have to try to realize is you're 16. So, at that age, we don't have good money management skills. We may see a pair of shoes that cost $80 and go buy the shoes instead of doing, we at that age, we put our wants before our needs. And so all that plays a part into it, like you said. And then maybe now one day you might be doing good, you have a lot of dope, then all of a sudden the police hit the corner. So now you got to throw the dope in the field because it makes no sense to get busted with the dope and go to jail. You'd rather take a loss, just one loss on throwing the dope instead of taking two losses of getting caught with the dope and going to jail. So I just know that had to be extremely hard for you, man. One day you're living in a house, the next day pretty much you don't have a house, and you have to do what you have to do to survive. And so yeah, that's definitely a sad situation. So with you being homeless and out there now, I guess with every day now, so now you're getting more dedicated to the streets, right?
Yeah, because this is my only way of surviving. Like living out here is the streets. You know, like the drug addicts, the dope fiends. Like they helping me live because without them, I wouldn't have had nothing. You know, like they the ones spending their money with me. They the ones putting me into home, giving me places to stay. Even some prostitutes even help me. You know,
Right.
it just depends on the person. They seen the struggle, they seen the hustle, and they wanted their help. You know.
And so how at this time, how was your attitude toward um how was your feelings toward police?
Well, I grew up not liking the police as a youth. You know, I never seen them do nothing good to my people, to me, to no one really. You know, so I always looked at them as a gang, and I still do, right? It's more organized, and that's what I feel about them.
Uh-huh. And so eventually you ended up going to prison for attempted murder on a sheriff.
Yes.
So if you can walk us through that night, what were you doing specifically that night? How did you happen to have that interaction that led you to getting a life sentence?
Well, that night I was sleeping in my car. I had a car I was selling drugs out of, and I was on the passenger side. My friend Willie was on the driver's side, and I was asleep and I had a gun in my pocket, and I know the police knocked on the passenger side door, and they asked me was it be all right, and he said yes, and asked me to step out the car, so I ended up coming out the car, all intentions to running, and I seen another police, and he asked me was I going, I said nowhere, and so I put my hands on the car, he put my hand in the pocket, pulled out an inhaler, then he put it back into my pocket. The next pocket, he patted it, and he said, a gun over here. As soon as he said that, I ran. I jumped the fence. When I jumped the fence, I made it to the backyard. And that's why I thought I was going to get into the side of the house and get rid of the evidence and stuff. But the back door was locked. And so at the time, I had one of the police caught up with me, and he pepper sprayed me on the side, and I was trying to get in still, struggling. And I realized I always told myself if I ever get caught by the police, I would shoot him, you know. And I remember that I had the gun in my pocket, and I pulled it out of my pocket, put it to his neck. He said, "Don't do it." I pulled the trigger, and he fell face forward. The gun came out of my hand, and I went to pat him down. Looking for the. First, I went to go pat. It was dark in the backyard, so I tried to find the gun that I shot him with, and I couldn't find it. So I wanted to find the gun I shot him with. So I couldn't find that. So I wanted to find his bag of weapons so I could have a weapon. And I know it was enough police on the side of the door, and I wanted to shoot at him too.
Now let me because you kind of lost me a little bit, so let me get some clarification here. So the gun you shot him with was your actual gun?
Yes.
Okay. And did you often carry a gun?
Yes. At this point in time, I was carrying weapons, but I didn't often carry a gun till later on in life. Not often till after I started selling drugs and stuff like that.
Right. And then you said something that I mentioned the other day in a video that I had done, but you basically said that you had already told yourself long before this shooting that in the event you got caught by the police and you had your gun on you, you was going to shoot the police.
Yes.
And that's what I had said earlier, right? So basically what I was saying was when we're out there gangbanging, doing whatever we're doing, the decision to shoot at somebody, whoever it is, it actually comes long before that incident. We create a belief system, due to experiences that we see in the streets. And so then when an opportunity presents itself to act on one of these experiences, we just go through it because we have been thinking about it and preparing for it mentally for so long. And so sorry to interrupt. So once again, now you're patting the police down. So you're actually 17 years old. You're patting the police down now, trying to take his gun also.
Yeah, because I didn't have a gun no more, so I'm looking for his gun. And so at the time, I couldn't find it, so I'm about to leave. Then I turn around to leave out the backyard, and I hear some noise, and then I see him sitting up against the door. He was sitting down now, and he had a gun pointed at me. He was trying to shoot me. And so I ran over to him, and I beat him up, and I took his weapon from him, and I tried to kill him. I took the gun to his head, pulled the trigger, the gun didn't go off, so I ejected the slide, ejected back, and I put the gun to his head the second time. The live round came out, and it just wouldn't go off, and I didn't know why. I did it 3 times, and it wouldn't go off. So I ran to the front, still trying to get the gun to work, and I seen other police at the front. I'm not gonna shoot at them, but I still couldn't get the gun to work. I ended up making it back to the front of the house. and I end up knocking the door down with my shoulder at the front door. And they tell me to get out the house with a gun. I told them I couldn't. They out there, they trying to kill me. The police trying to kill me. They end up wrestling with me with the gun. The gun go off in the house. This was my friend's daddy's house. So I let the gun go. And after I let the gun go, they their uncle and their daddy took me out. One had my feet, one had my legs. And they took me out, and I got a life sentence.
So that's extremely interesting, right? So let me rewind a little bit. So what's going through your mind when you shoot this first officer? And did the gun you happen to be carrying, was it like a one-shot Derringer or something?
Yes, I had a 410 Derringer pistol gun. It shot real bullets, and it shot pellet bullets. And the gun what I shot him with was it was a pellet one, and it had 180 pellets.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering why you had shot once and then you said you didn't have a gun anymore. So you actually shot him with a pellet round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so he falls, and at some point I guess he retrieves his backup weapon, and you notice that he's sitting up aiming his weapon at you. So then you rush over to him and you physically assault him and take that from him as well.
Yes.
Now, when you got pulled over, you said at some point you recognized it was another officer. So what's going through your mind at that point? Are you cognizant or aware that it's another officer somewhere? Is that making you panic?
Yes, this just made me want to have a weapon for me so I could shoot him. I just wanted to shoot as many police as I could at the time because I felt that I was going to die. You know, I thought they were going to kill me for sure. So I was going to go out. I was going to try to take as many of them as I could with me at the time. That's what my mind was thinking.
Right. And then I think it's interesting too that you said that, you know, you're over here selling drugs in this urban community where, to keep it 100, we have a lot of minorities in a lot of races who don't like the police because the way they come over there and police the area is different than how they'll police a suburban area. They'll come over there harassing people, doing a blanket disrespectful shakedown. But I thought it was interesting that you said the father of your friend, they wrestled you to the ground, actually wrestled the gun away from you. One got your feet, one got your hands, and they basically took you outside to the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so at being young, did you feel betrayed by them that they had turned you over to the police?
I didn't blame them for that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they were trying to save themselves, basically. You know what I mean? This was the best way to do it, was getting me up out the house. You know, they ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? So I didn't blame them for that.
And so
once that I made.
And once they do take you outside and you're arrested, how are the police treating you? Are they being extremely rough with you, or extra rough, or what's going on?
Nah, I was sitting in the back of the police car, and the pepper spray finally kicked in because he hit me on the side of the face with the pepper spray, and then finally, and I was sweating at this time, so that sweat was getting into my eyes, and pepper with the pepper spray with it. And I was trying to see what was going on, and he kept asking me what happened, and I kept telling him I shot somebody, but I wasn't telling him who. But I already knew he knew who I shot because it's all over the radio. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, they didn't treat me. They didn't jump on me. They didn't do none of those things I thought they was gonna do.
And then, so for everybody listening, let's keep in mind he's only 17 years old at this time. So then, what happens? Do they proceed to eventually take you to juvenile hall?
Yeah, well, they took Willie. They had arrested Willie first. He was with me. They took us both to juvenile hall. They had him in a cage. I told him, "Look, man, don't just come to court for me. I'm gonna get you out of this trouble. You ain't do it. Just come to court for me. That's all I need you to do." And he said, "Okay." Yeah, so I gave him the statement. I told the police exactly what I'd done, basically. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I told him a lie. I told him that we struggled over the gun, he got shot instead of me, and that was my defense.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so at some point, I mean, do they immediately put you in the cell? At some point, do they let you shower? I mean,
yeah, I didn't shower till I got to juvenile hall that night. Yeah, but I did shower at juvenile hall when I got booked in there. So I went from county jail to the juvenile hall. I got interviewed at the county.
And so now, as you're showering, what's happening and what's going through your mind?
As I'm showering, I see like blood and dirt just coming off my body into the drain, and I'm like, I felt a sign of relief. Like I didn't have to worry about the police no more. I didn't have to worry about other gang members no more. I didn't have to worry about selling drugs no more. I didn't have to worry about what I was going to eat today, what I was going to wear today. Like I was relieved. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah, man. And then I realized that I did something really bad. And I felt bad for it, but I understood that I had to do some time, and
Right.
and I had to deal with whatever consequences that came with it.
Did you, at the time, did you have any idea how badly the police was hurt or if he had survived at all?
No, I didn't. So what I was hearing, because I was in juvenile hall. They was parents to come to see their kids, and they knew who I was because I was all over the TV, and so they used to have their kids tell me stuff about the incident,
Mm-hmm.
and when that's how I found out about he didn't remember things and whatever that he on his side that he was saying or whatever they were saying in the news, I should say, right? Because I didn't know what was going on with his case, and uh, one of the people that worked there, I asked him, what should I do? And they said he was in the hospital. He told me to go pray for him, pray that he don't die. And I went in there and prayed that he didn't die.
Right.
And sure enough, he lived. You know what I mean?
And
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 so,
and so by you being a gang member and being in jail for, let's keep it real, you being in jail for a crime that a lot of gang members look up to. You have in the hood, you have done the most heroic thing that a gangster could do. You have shot the ultimate enemy as a gang member. How were the other people in juvenile hall, the people who were arrested in juvenile hall, how were they treating you?
well, everybody was like, they was already intimidated by me from other stuff, right? That is put the icing on the cake with the shooting of Tom at the time because I was wild, bro. I was doing stuff already. I was just running wild. And so when I went to juvenile hall, the staff was more like they coming to see me, like from their other jobs. I was like a public display. You know what I mean? Oh, there
Right.
he is, right there. Oh, that's him. You know what I mean? Even when I went to court, it was the same way. And so I was like a public display. They kept me away from everybody. I couldn't program with other juveniles. They kept me in the cell. Like everybody had to go to school. I couldn't go to school. I had to home study. And so they ostracized me, like from the, even the juvenile, so hey, they treated me different. Some of the staff gave me extra food. Some of them liked me. Some of them was scared of me. I could tell,
Right.
and yeah, but I didn't have no problems like with people, like the people inside. I was more of the aggressor, if anything. You know what I mean?
And
People was
and
kind of sending me kites and stuff, asking me why I don't talking to them, and these my enemies. You know what I mean?
uh
And and I'm in here for a whole another crime. And so I'm not even tripping off what the street stuff no more. I'm tripping off my life. You know what I mean? What they about to do to me about this particular crime. You know what I mean?
and that's what I was gonna ask you. So how long do you think you were in there approximately before you realized, man, damn, I'm in some major trouble?
Uh, but I knew it as soon as I done it. I wasn't oblivious of what I done
Uh-huh.
at all. I just did. The only thing I just didn't know. I just thought I was gonna die. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was gonna live past it. So
Right.
it wasn't like, you know, I was shocked or why I'm in here. You know, I know what I've done, but it was just I was like, damn, now that I didn't die, when I'm gonna get out? You know, that was another thing. You know, and I knew that once I got out, I didn't want to be that same person that I was. You know, so I wanted to go. I went in juvenile hall, learning my self education. I took my education serious because I didn't know how to read and write when I went to juvenile hall. You know, I didn't take education serious when I was on the street. You know, so
Right.
I didn't go. You know, I didn't take none of that stuff. So I was basically illiterate at 17 years old, almost. When I was in prison at 18, I was illiterate. You know, and I
Right.
kept trying to boost myself up with the going to school in juvenile hall. Went to school in the county. I went to school in a reception center, and I went to school in prison. I just kept it on, till I finally got my GED, man.
Congratulations, man. And so, I want to ask you. So, how long did you stay in the juvenile hall system before you ended up receiving a life sentence? And did you go to trial or did you plea bargain?
Uh, I went to trial, and it only took a year for them to find me guilty. So I was 17 when I committed the crime. In April 2014 and April 2013, I was convicted of the crime. And uh, April 2008, 2000 no, not 2002, April 1997, 1998, I was going to the main line
And
as
so
high as the state
let me
prison.
let me ask you, while after you had got arrested and sent to juvenile hall, did your aunt or anybody of your family pop back up and some come show you support or visit you or anything like that?
Yeah, my auntie, she was coming for a minute. She came to see me in juvenile hall, and basically, she came every once in a while. But I think she was just really trying to understand why I done what I done. Because that's what everybody was trying to do. They didn't understand why I done it. You know, it was
Right.
like a mystery. You know, to me it was just plain and clear. You know, but
Right.
the world. That's why I seen that the world don't think like I think, at least. You know, like a street person. Like I'm out here surviving every day, trying to make a way for myself. And some people, they born with money. You know, they born with privileges that I don't have. You know, so I
Right.
make a way for my own self in whatever way I can. You know.
And so for those who may be wondering and not exactly know, why did you do it in your mind? What was the reason? You was trying to survive, or what was your reason?
My reason was because police out here killing us, right? And that's the really reason that, you know, police. There's rumors out in our city where the police will pick you up and you never come back. You know, they find you dead in fields over here with the cows and stuff. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to be
Right.
a victim. You know, and so I decided to take matters in my own hand when it became that time. I
Right.
did.
And once again, everybody keep it in mind, he was only a 17-year-old individual, not making any excuses for him. But sometimes when we grow up in these subcultures, gangs, selling drugs, we have a different way of processing things. We have a different way of thinking because we're living different. We're living different, and this is why I like to do these interviews, to give you different perspectives of individuals' lives. And so I have a question. I'm intrigued with, like you said, you wasn't oblivious to what you did. You knew exactly what you did. Why did you choose to go to trial? They didn't offer you any deal, or what was your thought process on going to trial as opposed to trying to take a sentence where you possibly could have been home sooner?
So I went to trial because I had no choice. So I went to my arraignment, my first time ever going to court, and I told them I was guilty, and they said I couldn't plead guilty. I had to plead not guilty, right? And so once I pled not guilty, I just stuck with the not guilty plea the whole time.
Okay.
And then after that, my lawyers is telling me this. They come with an offer. They want to give me 28 years to life. That was my offer without the going to court, without going
Right.
to court. So I wasn't going to take a life sentence. You know what I mean? On no deal. You know.
Right.
So I like, man, I'm going to court then. And so I still in with a life sentence, but I got lesser time. You know, than that 28 years to life. Nah.
So how much time were you sentenced to? 27 or?
No, I had 19 years plus life. So I had to do 19 years. I had to do 85% off the 19, then I had to do 7 years off the life.
Right. I had a similar sentence because out here in California, a lot of people get 16 to life or 25 to life. But me and you both, we had a life. I mean, we had a sentence and then plus life. So like me, I had 16 years plus life. And so I'm assuming it was because of the attempted murder is where you got the 19 years and then the life came. How did they break that down?
So they gave me great bodily injury. They gave me 3 years for that. They gave me 10 years for the gun I took from him. They gave me 3 years for the gun that I shot him with. And they gave me life for the attempted murder.
Oh, okay. And so once you finally get to prison, or once you're finally on your way to prison and you realize, okay, I've got this life sentence, now I'm going to prison, what's going through your mind? Did you think that you would possibly ever be free before you got to prison?
Oh yes, I knew I'd get out of prison one day because he was still living and I was too young to be going through all this, right? And I mean, the world got to see how they treat black people out here, the police. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, at the time, it wasn't no cameras like that. It wasn't no internet and all this stuff that they have now to expose them like they're being exposed. But I knew eventually it was going to be that. They're going to see like, oh, they're really out here doing these people wrong, you know? And it's happening now, still to this day, you know? And so I just had faith that it would happen, and it did.
Right.
And at the same time, I had to be in there bettering myself, so when that opportunity did come, I could have a meaningful opportunity.
Right. And so, what year did you actually get to prison with that life sentence?
1998.
1998. So shortly after I came. So I'm sure you had people on the yard saying, hey, that anybody with life is not going home. So did you hear that, and did that deter your thought process, or how did that affect you, if at all?
Yeah, so I heard that. I actually heard that from my mother's husband at the time. He was a paralegal. He had done time before. He was trying to help me with my crime, getting back home and stuff, with my appeal and stuff. And then I guess one of these governors, was Pete Wilson or something, said that it wasn't letting nobody out that did anything to police officer or public official, and he sent me the little paper saying this, you know what I mean, that basically I need to stop trying to get out of prison because I'm never getting out.
And you said, excuse me, you said that was your mother's boyfriend telling you that?
No, that's my mother's husband.
Your mother's husband telling you that you should stop trying to get out of prison?
Yes, because
wow.
they're not letting lifers out.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's just profound, because sometimes even in the most, I guess, darkest situation, it seems like, our parents and older people would always encourage us, to try to get out of prison. I was in the same situation. I had an aunt who sent a letter to President Obama. Now, I didn't think they was going to let me out. And of course, that letter she sent had nothing to do with me eventually being released. But it's just that, our older parents and older aunts, a lot of times they encourage us. And so just to hear you say that, this guy who was married to your mom basically told you to stop trying to get out of prison. So it's a whole lot to deal with sometimes, I think. And so how did you feel when he told you that?
I mean, I understood what he was trying to tell me, for sure, but I wasn't for to listen to it. You know, like,
Right.
it's my life. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
who's going to tell me to stop getting out of prison? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I said, okay, and I just continued to do what I needed to do. So when it was my time, I'll be ready.
And so I got to ask you this real quick. Is the dude still alive?
Cool.
The one who told you to stop trying to get out of prison?
Oh no, he's not. He died before I got out of prison. My mother's husband. Yeah.
Right. And so when you first got sent to prison, what prison did they send you to?
They sent me to High Desert State Prison.
In the march, don't ask if I might clap. I had life and now I'm home and they don't like that. I'm right back like I left something. Like I told your bitch to hold my dope sack and she kept something. Bet something if you think I left the strap at home. That bitch stayed with the kid like a chaperone. And I'm prone to put my mask on and spin the block, hit my target spinning round. That's how you change round the ops. Laying down, call the cops. Now it's lots of yellow tape. I'll never box my op unless they pay me what Canelo make. I'm a shooter, boy. I blaze shit up for Carmelo's sake. Niggas talking, acting tough, but sweeter than some yellow cake. I don't take one bite. Play with me, gunfight. A nigga come for me on mama's cuz he better come right. If not, seal casket, no more sunlight. Smoke shop, yeah, I got way more than one pipe. You will never fuck with me, pussy, you the nun type. You report shit after it happened, walk the crunch kite. I'm a mentor, war instructor, sensei. A nigga who was really in the field like Kunta Kinte.
That game greasy, bitch, that game need me. Oh, you niggas don't know my name. That game greasy, bitch, that game need me. I'm out here doing my thing. That game greasy, bitch, that game need me. I swerve in my own lane. That game greasy, bitch, that game need me. Nigga,